Hello everyone and welcome to Friday Live. My name is Ashley Hay. I'm an artist and also the importer of Powertex for Australia. And of course, every Friday I come to you live to share some inspiration, arty inspiration for the weekend. So if you're here for the first time, welcome. And it's wonderful that you're watching, and I hope you learn heaps today. So today, of course, I'm going to be sharing some gorgeous Masai, and we're going to be having a look at those. And I'm going to be showing you how to use Stockinette. So if you don't know what Stockinette is, all will be revealed, and it can be a little bit clumpy to work with. So that's why I really wanted to show you today the best practice for working with Stockinette, because it is an absolutely gorgeous material. Hey Valerie, lovely to have you on. Glad you made it here, so welcome. Thanks for watching. So Valerie is in Queensland and she's a new upcoming trainer with Powertex in Queensland. So stay tuned to see more of Valerie's artwork. And Valerie, if you want to pop in your Facebook business link, that would be fantastic, and share it with everyone that comes on. All right, so today, of course, we're working with Stockinette, and so let's take a look at what that is. I'm going to zoom on down to the art table, and we're going to get straight into it because, of course, that's what I love to do, is get messy with Powertex and do lots of stuff. So before we do that, let's take a quick look at the Masai and what Stockinette is. So I'm just going to hold this one up here so that I can show you. So this one, of course, is the, hang on, see if I can get him in a little bit closer. So this one, of course, is the one that was actually on the, I'll show you in more detail in a minute. He's the one that was on the advertising. So this is what Stockinette is. And so we'll take a closer look at him, and I'll just show you. Okay, so if we take a look here, you can see the Stockinette. It is absolutely gorgeous. It gives a really beautiful texture on your sculptural work or on your mixed media canvases. So you can work with it two-dimensionally on a two-dimensional artwork to create texture, or you can use it as a beautiful sculptural element. And you can see how it's really open weave, and it is just so yummy and so gorgeous. So what I have done with this, I have actually coated the Stockinette with bronze Powertex. And so what you'll find is when you use a dark-coloured Powertex, like the bronze, it just gives you a beautiful dark base. And then when you embellish it with your pigments, either matte or your metallic pigments, it just gives you a really professional finish to your artwork that is just absolutely stunning. And you can see how I've edged the edges of this with some of the rich gold, and I've used some turquoise, and I've also used some red ochre. So the turquoise and the red ochre are both power colours, which means they're matte pigment. And then I've used the metallic just to come in at the end and really zizz up the edges and some of the folds in the fabric and some of the details in the actual Masai. Hey Karen, lovely to have you here. And Sue has made it all the way from Texas in the USA. So thanks for watching, everyone. And Three Hearts Art Studio is here as well. So thank you for watching. Of course, if no one watched, there wouldn't be a lot of point me doing it. So if you are watching in replay as well, please drop a comment in, say hello, tell us where you're from. That would be fantastic. So with this Stockinette, you can see I've actually used the terracotta as a base. The terracotta in the Powertex range is also really gorgeous. So you can see it just creates the most beautiful base colour. So this t-shirt material that's done here is actually done with the terracotta Powertex. So the only place where I've actually used bronze on this one is actually on the plaster. So the brown Powertex, the bronze, is actually on this plaster here. And then I've used bronze gold to actually embellish up his face so that he gets a little bit of a shimmer. So when you're doing the faces and the skin, you want to be careful that you don't use too much of the gold. So of course, if you did miss last week's episode on Friday Live, you can actually watch the replay. So I showed you last week how to use Powertex transparent with the Powertex, and we talked about different fibres and fabrics. So this month I'm really focusing on fibres and fabrics. If there's something you'd like to see next month, please let me know and I'll consider it for Friday Live. Okay, so that is that one. I'm also going to show you this other one. They're a little bit hard to manipulate because they actually are on a very heavy base. I love my Masai because I have done them on some very heavy big brick bases, and with those they make the most perfect doorstops. So I've got some that stand nearly 1 metre high and they're just beautiful, and I have them around the house as doorstops because they're on a really heavy stand, so they work perfectly, and the cat loves them as a scratching pole. So it's funny. All right, let's take a look at this one. So this was actually, last week I shared my geisha with you, and I also shared some artwork that was done by my mum. So this one is actually also done by my mum, and you can see that she's got beautiful, this is actually Agnes Masai. The other one was Mala Masai. So if you want to browse the plasters, you can actually go onto the Powertex website. I'll drop the link in the chat to the actual Masai plaster heads, and you can go there and you can have a look at what's available. So Agnes is just beautiful. And then you've also got a baby Masai here on her back. So the baby is really gorgeous with Agnes, and you can see how beautiful that stockinette actually is wrapped around the baby and wrapped around her as a cape. So it's just lovely. So talking of mums, I hope you all had a beautiful Mother's Day. You might like to drop in the comments what you did. So I took my mum out to lunch and I took her to the theatre and we had a lovely time. So I love creating with my mum and spending some special time with her. And, you know, you can see that she's been to a few of my workshops over the years, and she just is so creative and very theatrical and really gets a lot of character into her work. So that's Agnes. So we've taken a look at Agnes, we've taken a look at Mala, and we've also seen the baby stretching across here. So this one is actually a sculpture in progress. So again, this is using the Mala plaster sculpture, which plaster torso, I should say, which is just absolutely beautiful. And you can see at this stage, he's just got some binding on him, and he's got some, this is actually the butter muslin that I featured last week on either, I think it was the week before actually, where I was talking about the best fibres and fabrics to use with Powertex. So if you do want to watch Friday Live in replay, you can either watch it on Facebook on the Powertex Australia page or under the videos, or you can actually also watch Friday Live on YouTube, if you please, and you can binge watch them on your telly. So up to you. But this is beautiful. This is actually the muslin. So you can see it's butter muslin. So you can see that it just teases out really beautifully. So we've got a couple more people dropping in. So thanks for watching, everyone. So Ladybird Creative Arts and Robin and Roz from Tidal Harmony Art in Dawesville. And Roz has is going to be running some Masai workshops, I think. So she is a new certified Powertex trainer. So welcome, Roz. It's wonderful to have you out there in Dawesville offering some new art workshops very, very soon, we hope. But we'd love to see some of your work. So if you can pop in the comments, Roz, just pop the link to your Tidal Harmony page so that people can have a look at what you do. So if you're local, it's awesome. So that's that one. And this one is actually using Zora. She's not currently available in Australia until my new stock arrives. But again, you can see how this stockinette has actually been embellished and how the t-shirt material is all about layers. So that other one just has binding. And so because I want to get, you know, some layers underneath the t-shirt material on top of the skirt before I actually put the t-shirt material on the top as a cape and then put another layer of stockinette over the top here, I want to work the underlayers first. So it's a bit like getting dressed in the morning. You pop on, you know, all your undergarments, and then you actually, you know, put the next layer on, then the next layer, and then the next layer until you've got all your bling and you've got your capes and your scarves and your headwear, and it all looks lovely. That is how you layer up with Powertex as well. So think about creating layers in your artwork. Create the underlayer first, then create the next layer up. And you can even colour them as you go, which looks absolutely awesome and sometimes makes life easier because then you don't need to get in underneath the colours. So that is the Masai. And as I say, if you do want to browse the Masai, just popping her down, if you do want to browse the Masai, then actually go onto the Powertex Australia website, check it out, and check out what plasters are actually available there. So we have put that link in the comments already. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to show you working with the stockinette and what the stockinette looks like, and then we're going to add it onto this sculpture here. So I'm just going to put this one aside here and let him sit there. And what I've done earlier is I'm hoping it's dry enough, I've actually already coated a couple of pieces of stockinette that you can see here. And so that is partially drying. What you'll find is that when you do use the stockinette, it's much nicer to let it partially dry. And then once it has partially dried, you can actually stretch it out and add it, you know, add it to your piece, or you can put it on your piece, let it partially dry and stretch it out while it's on your piece. So either of those things will work for you. That just comes down to your process and what you prefer to do. So Valerie's just going, oh, I wonder if I can do that with my Indigenous weaving. So that is great, Valerie. I'm glad you're thinking that way, because absolutely you could do heaps. And of course you could keep the colour of the natural fibres and fabrics as well by using your transparent Powertex. So that is really cool. All right, so let's take our stockinette, and I'm going to show you coating it and just a couple of tips, but I'm also going to show you, I did give this a little wash down just earlier because I got Powertex all over it when I was doing the other bit, as you do. So you want to give your Powertex a good shake before you use it. I also give it a little bit of a stir because if it's been sitting for more than a couple of days, you'll find all the pigments actually do go to the base. And so it's really important to make sure that you're working those pigments through. So I'm going to use the bronze like I have already used on those other bits. I should have probably just used, looks like a little bit of water when I was doing that before, but never mind. I'm going to, when I was washing my lid, I went, oh, the lid's not actually on properly. But I'll just give it a better shake and it'll be fine. Lucky I caught it quickly or I'd have had loads of water in there, which we don't want. We don't want to dilute the Powertex with water. All right, so I am dipping my stockinette in and you can see I'm being pretty generous with it. Once it is coated, I'm going to actually just, Mark said shaken and stirred, and then, yes, absolutely, shaken and stirred, just like James Bond, right? Or does James Bond not like it shaken and stirred? I can't remember. Hey, Kat, lovely to have you here. Nicole, wonderful to have you. So Nicole and Kat are also, Kat's basically working with Powertex, doing the online course to become a certified Powertex trainer with me. So it's Anthea and Nicole, and if I've missed anyone, Denise from Harvey. So you can see how I'm actually working that Powertex in through. So I don't want too much Powertex on there. So if I keep dipping the fabric in, it's just going to get really soaking wet and you're not going to end up having that beautiful stretch and that beautiful texture that you get when you haven't got too much Powertex on there. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking to make sure that I have actually coated all areas of that stockinette with the Powertex, which it looks like I have. So I've checked the edges, I've checked underneath where it's rolling there. There's a little bit that's not covered, so I can just pop it on with my, make sure I'm covering it with my fingers. So what I was saying before is we're going to be having lots of lovely new Powertex trainers being certified because, of course, I have been doing an online course. So if you are watching and you're ready to take the next step and become a certified Powertex trainer, just pop in the comments, yes, I'm interested, CPT. So Certified Powertex Trainer, CPT for short. And I'll get back to you and we can have a chat about how that might look for you. All right, so now that's done, what I see a lot of people doing is I see a lot of people then putting that on their artwork as a texture like this. Okay, so they might go, oh, that looks really nice. But you can see there's a lot of waste of materials if you do that and scrunch it up, because what is happening is look at all of this fabric. So I'm a big one for getting value out of your materials, and this is how I do it. So if I have a piece of fabric, I want to maximize the use of that piece of fabric that is covered with the Powertex, especially when it soaks up so much Powertex like the stockinette does. You want it to really be showcased in the best possible way. So that's where, you know, if I try and put that on now, sure, it's going to look okay, but it's just going to go all into a bit of a mushy mess. So what I'm better to do is to put it aside and to let it partially dry like I've done with these ones. So I'm hoping that they're going to be dry enough and wet enough to, because it's just a case of sort of getting the feel and sort of, seeing once it's touch dry and then popping it onto your piece after you've stretched it out. You can also pop it onto your piece and let it dry out on your piece and then tease it once it's actually on your piece as well. So that's totally up to you. I'm just taking the gloves off. So what I do, just a tip for you, to recycle my gloves, what I would usually do is I would usually wash my hands with my gloves on, and then I can take them off and reuse them. So with these ones, I've taken them off very carefully so that I can still wash them after my demo, and I can still reuse those. I've got a nice wet cloth here for my hands, so I'll just clean those up a little bit. So Valerie, if your screen is frozen, it may be on your internet because everything is looking fine on my end. Let me know if you're having issues, but hopefully my internet will be sorted out a little bit better next week. I'm having an NBN upgrade here in my studio. So Nina from Kansas, thank you for joining us. So now I've got this piece, which you can see that it's partially dry, and you can now see the open weave in it. And I'm going to make it have even more open weave. So Anthea's just saying it's all good. So Valerie, it looks like it's probably your connection there. And let's take a look at how we can actually add that to our piece. And I am, it's a little bit hard to do when she's lying down, but what I want to show you first is I might as well show you how I actually stretch it when it is actually on the sculpture. So I would join it to the sculpture where I want a textured element. Just move this out of the way a little bit so you can see more clearly. And I've got this piece here, and what I can do is I can get the edges and I can really tease that apart. And because it has partially dried, it's actually going to stay there when I tease it. So see how I'm really pulling it apart. So I'm using a fair bit of brute force to do this. So that's why I quite like to do it when it's off my piece. And I just keep shaping it until I'm happy with how that is actually looking. So I want it to go into an interesting drapey shape with really interesting curls in the fabric. And I'm thinking about where I want it. So where I'm going to put this is actually onto the skirt area to create a layer of texture, like I've done with the muslin here. I'm going to use the stockinette around that skirt. So what I want to do, so it probably could do with drying off, but just a little bit more. And so you'll know when you're stretching it whether it's dry enough. You can also, here's a little tip for you, if you are getting impatient waiting for your stockinette to dry, you can actually use the hairdryer as well to just speed up the process. So heat it up a little bit and then take the hairdryer away from it, because if you leave the hairdryer on it, it will continue to feel soft. But the hot on the hairdryer will actually help speed up the drying process. So I'm quite happy with that. It's looking nice and curly. It's got some really interesting folds, and what I can do now is I can actually attach this to my piece, and I can still tweak it once it dries off a little bit more. So how I would do that is I would just choose some points on the fabric, and I would just pull edges. So you can see how pulling those edges is actually creating a really beautiful sort of ridge that when you embellish that, it's just going to look absolutely stunning. Make sure I'm in the camera there. So you can see how teasing that edge has given these really gorgeous ridges And that's how I get that ridge, like I showed you on that other Masai, where it really looks amazing. So the stockinette is really gorgeous. It's also really affordable, so you will find it on the Powertex website. And so if you're in Australia, we'll pop the link up for you so that you can find the stockinette easily. It comes in 1 metre length. It's about 1 metre, I think, by about 80 centimetres. And that actually, sorry, I find it very hard to talk when I'm being creative as well. So I sometimes lose my train of thought there. What was I going to say? I can't remember. It'll come back to me. So if you have any questions about the stockinette, but the stockinette, like I say, is really affordable. It's also really, really easy to use. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually just putting out a little bit more of the bronze Powertex. And the great thing to know that I'm quite often actually asked is, you know, if your sculpture is dry, can you still add elements to it? So absolutely yes. So if you've got an old piece that you want to rework, you can actually put more textures and more layers on and then embellish it again. So that's great. So if you've got old pieces that you kind of go, yeah, I kind of like that, but I'd like to do a little bit more, this is how you do it. So this is obviously all dried because it was a demonstration piece. And then when I want to add another element, I just put some more Powertex on the area that I want to add it to, and it is going to act like a glue. So this is where we say that, you know, the Powertex is really a universal medium because it's going to harden your fibres and fabrics. It's also going to act like a glue, plus you can actually paint with it. So the possibilities are insane. I'm just going to see if I can actually do this with her lying down. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for the edge that was the top edge that I'm going to join to the sculpture. So I want that straighter edge. So this is going to be the drapey bit. And I'm sort of thinking, okay, where do I definitely want that curl on the front edge. So where I'm going to put it, I'm just going to put it over here, which I could do, but that would mean oh, that doesn't look too bad. Let's just go with that. So I'm going to pop that onto here, and what I'm looking at is I'm looking at how the bias falls on this. So I'm imagining it is like an actual skirt, and I'm looking at where I'm popping that fold. I'm also going to pop some more wet Powertex on this edge of the fabric so that it's going to join and stay more easily. So where I'm joining it, I'm just popping a little bit of wet Powertex onto there, and so it's wet to wet. Okay, and then we're going to pop that around there, and I am pulling it quite tight. And then I just put it exactly where I want it to fall. And as I say, I can actually tweak that. Now, I love this muslin, so I don't want it to cover that muslin. So I'm just going to pull it around a little bit further so that that V actually, you know, will fall down over this way somewhere. So what have I used for her necklace? She actually comes like this. So this is Mala. I'm pretty sure Mala is a guy, but of course you could turn it into a female and make it female if you wanted. And this is the beautiful plaster torso. So there is actually really gorgeous plasters in the Masai range. And I love this one because it has got that beautiful neck feature, and I love the other one because she is very well endowed and just looks really, she's just really something else. So you can see here, this bit here isn't actually joined, So that's where you want to turn your work around and just make sure, you know, that everything is where you want it to be. And just pop a bit more Powertex on there so it will actually really stick down. Pop it around here in case that stockinette really pulls around, because you will find, look how far that actually goes. And so again, I'm going to look for that fall, because I don't need to do it really tight. So what I want to do is I want to look for the fall of where it's going to go. She's come away here because I'm doing her lying down really. So we'll just pop a bit more on there. Now, when that is dried off, I can actually then really tease that. The other thing that I could do, like if that kept coming away, I could get a long strand of plastic wrap and tie it around that edge so that it really, you know, sticks down really, really well. And of course, if you've got Powertex on your fingers and they're dirty and you're trying to push it down, what's going to happen is the wet Powertex is going to stick to your fingers and then it's going to pull it away. So sometimes what you want is you want to use a tool. So I quite like using kebab sticks. I also like using clay tools, which are wonderful. So instead of me using my fingers, I can actually just really press it down into place. But like I say, I would leave that now. And if it's annoying me because it's coming away, I would actually, I'm just thinking I might move it up a little bit. If it's annoying me because it is coming away, then I would just tie some plastic wrap around there. So I didn't like where I pulled it up to because it's then showing, like I want this overlap here on that muslin to be really nice. And so I can play with that once that stockinette has touch dried a little bit more. So of course then I would get my next piece, and like I showed you before, I just tease it and you can see that it goes into the most beautiful shapes, and then, you know, like I can use that up as a cloak, and you can see how the beautiful drape and drop of the fabric is just gorgeous. So while it is a little bit too wet, you can still get it, partially shape it by pulling it, stretching it, then put it onto your piece, and then once it touch dries a little bit more and it's really stuck down well, you can actually give it more of a stretch and tweak it. If you leave it overnight, it probably won't stretch as well, but you can still, you could heat it up with the hairdryer the next day and you could still tease it and really place it. So you're in no rush to do this. You can take your time with really stretching the fabric, so it just really ends up really, really beautiful. So there you go, there we have it. So I've got very dirty fingers now because I've been playing, but that's essentially what I wanted to show you today, is working with the stockinette and how fabulous this particular material is. So it is very cheap to work with, and as I say, you will find that on the Powertex website. So if you are inspired to create, have a think about what you'd like to use. You will find other plaster torsos on the website as well. So last week I showed you the geisha and some of the beautiful things you can do with those. And don't forget to create, connect and share with us on the Powertex Australia Creative Hub. And if you're not yet in that group, we'll drop the link into the comments so that you can actually join us there. And the idea of the Creative Hub is share your artwork there. If you're stuck with anything, let me know in there what you're stuck with. And if it's anything that particularly needs help, then I can actually showcase it on Friday Live. So don't forget to let me know what you'd like to learn about next month, what you may be stuck with. Drop it in the comments for me. I'd love to hear what you'd like to learn more about, and I will look at doing a feature on that. So Stockinette, working with dark Powertex, which is absolutely awesome, and just gives you a really beautiful professional finish when you embellish it really well. You've paid attention to the details in the layers. What are you working on this weekend? Let me know in the chat. So I'd love to see what your plan is. So I hope I've inspired you today to create. Everyone's saying thank you. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. If you are watching in replay, please still, drop a comment in. Let me know what you'd love to see on Friday Live. And let me know what you're working on this weekend. So, of course, you can learn more about Powertex by going to the Powertex Australian website. And Nicole's just saying, oh, I've already ordered the Stockinette. I'm really looking forward to using it. It is really just gorgeous. My other favourite fabric, as you know, from the live the other week is also the paper deco. Nicole, I know you've ordered that as well. So the other Nicole, Three Hearts Art Studio, you're very welcome. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. The Stockinette is absolutely superb. It's just absolutely beautiful. Carol from Ladybird Creative Arts sounds like she's going to be having some Masai workshops coming up. So Carol's just saying she's nearly finished her Masai and hopefully she'll finish it soon. So I guess she'll maybe be working on that this weekend, Carol. All right, everyone, from me to you, I hope you have a wonderful creative weekend. Just before I do go, there is an opportunity to do a 3-day workshop with me in a couple of weeks. I haven't really put it out to anyone yet anywhere really. It is on the website if you would like to go there and check it out. We'll pop a link in the comments so you can have a look. It is limited to 6 places. I've already got 3 bookings for it. So if you would like to come along to that, it is basically a 3-day workshop where we're going to look at source material for Australian landscapes. So we're going to be looking at places like the Pink Lakes, the Kalbarri Gorges, the Pinnacles, fairly iconic landscapes within WA. And then we're going to use source material that you bring along to the workshop. So photos, inspiration, textures, actual objects to experiment, discover and play with as you interpret the Australian landscape. And of course, we will be resolving those into artworks as well. And, it will depend on whether you want to experiment more or whether you want to resolve your artwork within that 3-day workshop as to which direction you go. So there'll be a lot of creative freedom and we will be playing. So I've got Powertex Asia coming in July, and so I thought I'd run a workshop locally here before I do the workshop with them. So they're coming for 3 days. So if you would like to join me, hop onto that link really, really quickly. As I say, there's only 3 places left. So get in there, get your place, and I look forward to seeing you there maybe. So it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, I'll share more about that with you next week. But for now, have a wonderful creative week. Next week, we're going to be looking at mixed media on canvas using fabric. So, of course, this month in May, I'm looking at fabrics and fibres and the different ways that you can use fabrics and fibres. So we're moving away from sculpture next week onto mixed media. So if you love mixed media, make sure you join me next week and we'll be doing some play on canvas. So Anthea, that will be perfect for you. You were just asking me some questions the other day, and I'm going to be playing with fabric collage this week. So stay tuned for more coming to you. So Maggie is just saying I'm making Powertex bangles. made from ironed and cut up soft drink bottles. Awesome. Please share those with us in the Creative Hub. We look forward to seeing that. And everyone's saying hopefully have a wonderful weekend. Valerie's saying that she's off to the Kimberleys next week. So that's fantastic. So you'll have to gather lots of photographs, lots of inspiration, close-up textures, and landscape information so you can play more. So I know you're playing while you're there, and it will be so awesome for you. So have a wonderful creative weekend, everyone. From me to you, enjoy, and I will see you next time. Ciao.